Good morning, friends. I am Mr. Hemant Manvani, teacher of economics at Hebron. Today, we are going to start economics of 11th standard. Now, as we all know, that you have opted for a commerce stream. And in commerce stream, there are four main subjects: accountancy, statistics, economics, and organization of commerce. When we are talking about these four subjects, economics has its own and an important place. And in economics, when we start study, if the market forces of demand and supply, if the important concepts of demand and supply are not studied, then the study of economics will be incomplete. So, demand and supply. These are two important concepts, as well as these are the two market forces. So, first we are going to start demand. Unit 3, demand. Now, it's a very common term that you all have heard, demand. Sometimes we are making the use of the sentence or the words. Okay, in a market, demand for so and so commodity is very high, or there is fall in the demand. But the demand for the layman and the demand for the researcher, the demand for the layman and the demand for the student of commerce, it's totally different. For an individual, demand means only demand. That is, demand falls, demand rises. But actually, demand is not that much limited concept. It's not confined up to the word only. Demand has a broad meaning in economics. When I say there is a demand for some commodity, as a layman, means a particular commodity is being sold in a good quantity. But if as a student of economics, as a student of commerce, when you say then there is a demand of a particular commodity, which means a quantity of a commodity which a buyer desires, is able and willing to buy at a given price at a given point of time. Now, the definition is quite different, or you might say it's a difficult, but it's not a difficult. Three things we have to emphasize, three words. The one is desire, number two is able, and number three, that is willingness. Once again, demand is a quantity of a commodity. Demand is a quantity of a commodity. For any commodity, the quantity that a buyer desires, is able, means he is capable, he is having the purchasing power, and willing to buy at a given price. There is a difference between these two terms, able and willing to buy. Let us take an example. You all like and love ice cream. Ice cream, yummy. Yes. When you want to have an ice cream, it means that's your desire. You want to buy the ice cream. If you have the availability of the fund amount money with you, it means you are able to buy. But suppose for the ice cream of rupees 20, if the shopkeeper is charging 50, if he is demanding 50, means you are not able to buy that ice cream at a price which is specified or which is demanded by the shopkeeper. So this your desire won't convert into a demand. ये demand में convert होगा नहीं. So for any desire to get converted into a demand, three things, three conditions must be fulfilled. That number one, you must be having a strong desire to buy that product. Number two, your ability, your financial ability. Number three, willingness to buy. In the same way, suppose you have desire to buy ice cream. A shopkeeper is charging 20 only. He is not charging more amount. But you don't have 20 rupees in your pocket. So this desire again won't get converted into a demand. Same way, you have 20 rupees in your pocket. The shopkeeper is also charging 20. He is not charging more amount. But you don't have the desire to buy. Due to this pandemic, your parents are stopping you to buy such product. This can convert into a fever or a cough or a cold. So now you don't have a desire to buy the ice cream. So again, this want convert into a demand. Now the last one, and it's an interesting too. You have desire. You are able. You have willingness to buy for whatever price the shopkeeper is asking to sell you. But at a given point of time, that product is not available in the market. Means the price is specified, price is affordable to you, you have that strong desire, you have willingness, you have capacity to pay, but there is absence of product in the market. So again, your desire, want converted into a demand. So this is the difference when an individual person says demand and a student of commerce says demand. When you people will use the terminology demand, then these things must be very clear in your mind, that you must be having a desire, you must be having an ability, willingness to buy at a given price, means the price is acceptable to you, and at a given point of time. We can never say that there is a demand of so and so quantity of mango in India. We have to specify this quantity was demanded in India in which month, in which year. Then it will frame a perfect demand sentence. That 5,000 kg of mangoes were demanded at the rate of 80 in India or in Gujarat or in Ahmedabad during the March, April and May. That one make the clear sense of demand. So this one was the definition, or you can call it a meaning of demand. Once again we'll repeat it, then we'll move to the factors. So last time, demand is quantity of a commodity which a buyer desires, is able and willing to buy at a given price and at a given point of time. Means desires, ability, willingness, price and time. Now, the sentences which are very common in our surrounding. If your father is a professional one, or your father is a businessman, or is an employee somewhere, then you might have heard the terminology at your home that the demand of a particular commodity has fallen down, or the demand of a particular commodity has increased. Then why such increase or decrease? In economics we call it expansion or contraction. Why such expansion or contraction occurs or happens in the market? Why the demand of the commodity rises or why the demand of the commodity fall? So these are the factors which affect the demand of any commodity in the market. You name the commodity and I can let you know that these are the influencing factors. Means for any particular commodity, these will be the influencing factors. These will be the influencing factor. So factors or determinants we have classified into two parts: A, price of the commodity, and B, other factors. Now see, in other factors we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factors. In other factor 6, in the first one A, only one, price of the commodity. Mostly what happens, in other factors we have only 1 or 2 lines, and we used to write in 10th standard also. So these are the other factors which affect the particular reason. Here A is most important, price of commodity. Whenever the concept of demand is to be understood, that concept of demand is to be understood along with the concept of price. I say price and demand, that makes a different sense, and when I say demand and price, that makes different sense. These are the factors affecting demand. Means here we are talking about price of a commodity, means price of the commodity is a factor which affects the demand. Okay, price, the amount, the monetary return that you are paying for buying any commodity. Whatever consideration an individual pays for making the purchase of a particular commodity, that is known as price. It's a very easy concept. Day in, day out, whenever you go to market, whenever you purchase any commodity, you need to pay something in return. Yes, this is the meaning of consideration, something in return. Something in return. That consideration you need to pay, and that consideration is known as price. There is inverse relationship between price and demand of a commodity. You can call it inverse relation, you can call it indirect relation, you can call it negative relation. Negative, indirect, or inverse. Let us explain the same, let us understand the same from the viewpoint of inverse relation. There is an inverse relationship between the price of the commodity and the demand, which means fall in the price, expansion in demand. Fall in price, expansion in demand, and hike in price, contraction in demand. Means in simple way, when the price of a particular commodity decreases, demand increases. And if the price of a particular commodity increases, its demand decreases. This increase and decrease we explain with the help of contraction and expansion also. So price of a commodity and the demand, price of the commodity and demand, there is inverse relationship. You have to clear this in your mind, because our very next question is based on this demand function, and the next to next question, that is law of demand. If this concept is very clear, then the upcoming two questions will be much more clear. So now, price of the commodity, inverse relation, price decreases, demand increases, and price increases, demand decreases. Let us illustrate it. Suppose a price of a particular commodity A was rupees 10, and you used to buy 2 units of that. Price is 10 and you used to buy 2 units of that. Now suppose the price of that particular commodity due to market conditions has reduced to 6. It was 10, now it is available at the rate of 6, means price has decreased. So in place of 2 commodity, now if you desire, again, if you desire, then you can go for 3 units, you can go for 4 units. So price decreases, demand increases. In the same way, if due to market forces or market condition, a price of a particular commodity has increased, then there will be an adverse effect on the demand, which means price increases, you will reduce your quantity to be purchased. This is a most important factor, and that is the reason this factor is to be explained as a separate one. A, price of commodity, and B, other factors. In some reference book, it is written as other than price. Other than price means price you have to explain here in A, and all other factors except price will be explained in B. Other factors, number 1, taste and preference of a consumer. Yes, even in a small quantity or a small commodity, or even in a luxurious commodity or a quantity, the taste and the preference of the consumer impacts a lot. Means with the passage of time, with the change in technology, with the change in market forces, with the change in fashion, your taste and preference for a particular commodity changes. The things, the commodity, the garments your grandfather, grandparents were demanding, and your parents were demanding, and you at present are demanding, there will be a clear change in that. Because at that time, their taste and preference was different. During the time of your parents, the taste and preference was different. And at your age, when you are a teenager, your taste and preference is different. Suppose, previously, you used to buy Wagh Bakri tea. Chai pete na hum log, yes, Wagh Bakri. And suddenly once, you had one other brand of tea. Say for an example, Red Label. Now, when you were having that Wagh Bakri tea and now you have shifted to Red Label, and suppose that taste is very good. So now what will you do? In place of Wagh Bakri, you will switch to Red Label. So this is what your taste and preference has changed. Due to change in your taste and preference, the demand of Wagh Bakri won't decrease. But suppose this taste and preference, this change in taste and preference is at a large scale. If many of the consumers are feeling that the commodity B is far better than the commodity A, then there will be decrease in the demand of A and there will be increase in the demand of B. So it's a taste and preference of a consumer. Consumer is the king of market. Whatever consumer desires, whatever consumer demands, the producers have to produce. The time has gone that whatever producer was producing, customers were buying. Now the time has changed. Whatever consumers want to buy, producer has to produce. Producer has to produce. So consumer is the king of market. After taste and preference of consumer, we have number 2, and that is income of a consumer. Students, income of a consumer affects the demand of the commodity in a market, which means if there is change in the income of a consumer, there will be change in the quantity demanded. There is a kind of relation that if an income of a consumer has increased, then the demand of a particular commodity will increase. And if the income of a consumer has decreased, then demand for a particular commodity will also decrease. So here we can't say then there is a linear relation or there is an inverse relation. The change in the income of a consumer will affect its demand. Number 3, price of substitute goods. Substitute goods means those goods which can be used in place of each other. For example, tea and coffee. The tea and coffee can be used in place of each other. So change in the price of tea will affect the demand of coffee, and change in the price of coffee will affect the demand of tea. For example, suppose there is a decrease in the price of tea. There is a decrease in the price of tea. So the demand of coffee will also decrease. And suppose there is increase in the price of tea, then the demand of coffee will also increase. So here it's a linear relation. If I have to define, then I can write here it's an inverse relation. If I have to define number 3, then I can write there is linear relation. Linear relation between the relationship of 2 substitute goods. If a price of one goods increases, simultaneously the demand of other goods also increases. If the price of one goods decreases, simultaneously the demand of other goods also decreases. So this is the concept of substitute goods. Substitute goods means a goods which can be used in place of each other. Number 4, price of complementary goods. Complementary goods means the goods which can be used together, not in place of each other. In place of each other means substitute goods. And when I use the term complementary goods, which means it can be used together. For example, car and petrol. Is it possible कि हम कार खरीदने गए and the showroom was closed, तो हम उतनी amount का पेट्रोल खरीद के आ गए? Not possible, because they cannot be used in place of each other. Same way, हम पेट्रोल खरीदने गए, there was too much rush at the petrol pump, long queues were there. So we went to a showroom and we buy a car. Again, not possible. These are complementary goods. If you have a car, you have to have a petrol in that. So the reduction or increase in the price of car affects the quantity of petrol to be demanded in the market. Suppose price of the car has reduced, so there will be an intensity to purchase more car in the market. As more cars are demanded, there will be high demand of petrol in the market. Same way, suppose the price of the car has increased, so the demand of car will decrease. As the demand of car has decreased, the demand of petrol will also decrease. Once again, when we are talking about substitute goods, which means they can be used in place of each other, and when we are making the use of the words complementary goods, which means these are the goods which can be used together. They can be used together. So when price of car, as we have taken the example of car and petrol, price of the car increases. Price of the car increases, there will be reduction in the quantity to be demanded for petrol. So here there will be inverse relationship between two complementary goods. There will be inverse relationship between two complementary goods. Now, number 5, expectations about the future prices. Every day when we read the newspaper, there are some projection, there are some estimations, there are some expectations. For example, in today's newspaper, suppose in today's newspaper there is a news that before Diwali, the price of gold will be around 80,000. As of now, it is 50,000. It will be 80,000. Now imagine, if you want to buy the gold, you want to buy the gold during Diwali. As you have heard or as you have read in today's newspaper that the price of the gold will be around 80,000 in Diwali, that is sharp after 3 months. The price of the gold will be from 50,000 to 80,000. The gold which you were about to buy during Diwali, you will make the purchase at present. Because at present the gold is available at the rate of 50. Means see, there is an expectation. There isn't increase in the price. Price बढ़ा नहीं है. There is only an estimation that in future there might be hike in the price. Same way. Suppose there is a news in the newspaper that before Diwali or during Diwali, the price of the gold will be nearby 30,000. 30,000. As of now, it is 50,000. So if you were about to purchase the gold in the month of July, now you will postpone your purchase. Now you will postpone your demand. You will make the purchase of gold after 3 months. So the expectations about the future price. Future prices affects the demand at present. If there is expectation of increase in the price in future, at present demand will increase. So there is linear relation. Same way, if there is expectation of reduction in the price in future में price reduce होने वाला है, तो we will purchase goods in future. So at present you will reduce your demand. So there is linear relationship between the demand at present and expectations about the future prices. Now the last is number 6, size and demographic profile of population. As we all know, in India, 3P: population, pollution and poverty. Population, poverty and pollution. These three are the serious issues, and pollution and poverty are the outcome of population. Since 1901, our population is increasing constantly. Even during the last decade, it has increased on an average 2% annually. Means whatever we had a population in the last year, approx, there is increase of 2% population. So when population increases, let us first of discuss about the size of the population, because here there are two concepts: size of the population and demographic profile of population. When we are talking about the size of the population, it has a linear relationship. As size of population increases, as population increases, demand also increases. Means a larger market, larger population results into larger market, and a larger market results into larger demand. So when there is increase in the population, demand of commodities rises. Now we all know India is second largest country in the world from the viewpoint of population. And that's the reason that why India is also known as the market for the other countries of the world. That India is a market for them. It's not a nation. For them, it's a market. Whatever they produce, it can be easily sold in India, and the reason is there is continuous increase in population. It was 23 crore in 1901, and now the population is nearby 140 crore. 140 crore. So the quantity to be demanded by the population continuously increases. So there is linear relationship between the size of the population and the quantity to be demanded. Population increases, demand increases, and population decreases, demand decreases. The another one we have demographic profile. Demographic profile means the characteristics and the features of population. That whether in that 140 crore population you have children, you have youngsters, you have adult, you have old age people. If you have youngsters more, then there will be the goods which are demanded by the youngsters. And if you have the old age population more, then there will be the demand of those goods which can be demanded by old age population. Like as we all know, in India, we have largest youth of the world. We Indians have, we the country India have more number of youths across the world. So in India, the quantity demanded are mostly luxurious cars, sports bikes, things to be used in colleges, college bags, entertainment sector. Yes, youth is more, so entertainment sector's demand is also more. And if in a nation the old age are more than the youth, then the demand of certain medicines, demand of stick, demand of denture will be more. So it's all about demographic profile. Now let us revise the question number 1. What we have studied? Meaning of demand and the factors affecting it. Meaning is demand is a quantity of a commodity which a buyer desires, is able, willing to buy at a given price and at a given point of time. In factors, A, price of a commodity, it has an inverse relationship, that is inverse relationship between price and demand. B, other factors, number 1, taste and preference of consumers, taste and preference changes, demand changes. Number 2, income of a consumer changes, demand changes. Number 3, price of substitute goods. If there is increase in the price of one commodity, demand of other will also increase. It has a linear relationship. Price of complementary goods. If price of one good increases, then there will be a fall in the demand of another commodity, which means inverse relationship. Number 5, expectations about the future price. Here you have to remember the example given. That one was example for gold. Number 6, size and demographic profile of population. Size means the population in your nation, and demographic profile means the nature of that population. Now, if the factors are very clear in your mind, then there is a short question, and that short question is demand function. But again I am repeating, if the factors are very clear, if these factors are clear in your mind, then the study of demand function will be too easy. Now, demand function. What is function? Demand function, keep the concept of demand function aside. First of all, let us understand what is function. So, it's a mathematical expression. Now, what is demand function? It is a relationship between a demand of a commodity and the factors affecting it. Demand function is a relationship between demand of a particular commodity and the factors affecting it. Demand of a particular commodity and the factors affecting it, which means whatever factors we have seen here, if they are to be presented in a mathematical equation, if they are to be presented in a mathematical expression, then it's known as demand function. And yes, demand function is very useful. Demand function is very useful in the business, in a manufacturing firm, because every time producer, every time manufacturer wants to know that if I'll change in one factor, what will be the demand? If I'll change in the other factor, what will be the change in the demand? If I'll change all the factors, or if there is change in any of the factors, what will be the effect of demand? For example, Here we have demand function, that is dx equals to f of px, py, pe, t, y and u. Now it's not a short form, it is a function itself, where d of x means demand of commodity x. Demand of commodity x, where we are talking about p of x, which means price of commodity x. Price of commodity x. So see, d of x means we are talking about demand. P of x means we are talking about price of a particular commodity, that is price of x commodity. P of y, that is price of related commodity. That related commodity can be substitute goods, and that related commodity can be complementary goods. That is P of y. Third, PE, that is point number 5. Expectations about the future price. Expectations about the future price. So PE. Then T, point number 1. Taste and preference of the consumer. Taste and preference of the consumer. Then Y stands for number 2. Now there must be a question in your mind. Okay sir, P of x, so price of x. Then Py, that is price of y. PE, that is expectations of the future price. Then you have written T, that is taste and preference of consumer. Then why not I for income? Why you have written Y for that? Y stands for yield. Y-I-E-L-D, that is outcome, that is income. So it's a synonym. If I'll write income for I, or if I'll write Y for income. So Y means number 2, income of a consumer. And the last one is U. U stands for other factors. U stands for other factors. Other factors means other than this. Other than this. Other than price of X, other than price of Y, other than expectation of future prices, other than taste and preference of consumer, other than income. Apart from these points, whatever other factors are left out. Whatever other factors are left out, they are regarded as U. U stands for other factors. So let us repeat it again. Demand function stands for dx equals to f of px, comma py, comma pe, comma t, comma y, comma u. So this was all about demand function. If factors are clear, demand function is too easy. And if factors and demand function both are clear, then our question number 3, that is law of demand. In law of demand, we have to study the assumptions, and that assumptions are based on these factors. Assumptions are based on these factors.